history. You hear about this and you read about that. I don't want to look at Grumpy Cat. This is how to watch TV. What's that I hear? You hear the Lost finale. It's not your fault that you can't see what we see. This is how to watch TV. On Comeuppance Network. This is how to watch TV. On Comeuppance Network. This is how to watch TV.
Chronologically Lost with Joel and Jenna. My name's Joel.
My name is Jenna. We're brought to you by Comeuppance Network, and you can find all of our social media links at thisishowtowatchtv.com.
Okay, so everyone's dead, right?
So far. Can I have the bottle opener behind you? I think everybody's dead. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, we can officially say from this point on, everybody is dead. We are on episode 97, Epilogue 1 of 5. So the next 5 episodes don't matter? I mean, thoughts? Do you think that it matters? I mean,
if what matters?
These episodes.
You think they don't matter?
That's what I'm just trying to broach the subject of. Do
I
they or
think that
don't
this
they?
was purely just let's screw with the audience, but it's cool to watch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not to say that just because it's after they die that it's not true. You know, within the context of the story, whether you believe in afterlife or not, within the context of the story, they're saying that stuff did happen, but it happened after they died, even if it was just in their collective consciousness.
So then they died and forgot everything that they...
They forgot that they died. They forgot everything after... Well, no. They're saying that clearly everything has been good and different. It's been better for them. They weren't... In this world...
How is that better? They had a good life, except for Boone and Shannon, you know.
No, everybody had a shit life in Lost.
Why?
Every single person had a shit life. That's why they were lost. That's why Jacob picked them as candidates.
But once they landed on the island, they seemed...
Still shit. They're I mean...
How could you... Not all of it was shit. They had some good times.
Right, but their lives were... think about how small of a portion of their lives that was. 108 days the first time, 2 weeks the second time. That's so nothing. That's 123 days. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's 122 days.
It's not long in the grand scheme of life.
So like that, nothing that could happen that whole time. They could have been getting blowjobs the whole time, and that still would...
They get off the island.
I like I said, get off at the same time.
They get off the island, and some of them got off, and...
Yeah, they did.
and lived out potentially a long time the rest of their life.
Claire, Miles, Richard Alpert, Lapidus,
Kate,
Sawyer, Kate.
Claire.
Okay. I thought I already said Claire.
Oh, I don't remember. But so they all got off the island and lived long lives. And then when they die, then they all of a sudden they're back on the plane.
Yes, but they're back on the plane in an alternate reality because
No, not an alternate reality. They're death.
I'm saying in terms of it's not like it reset to the moment they were on the plane originally, because things before that had changed.
So you think they died?
Hurley said he was the luckiest dude on Earth,
and then they then they woke up per se.
In a world,
death.
In a world where Jacob never touched them, and they had whatever was missing in their lives before.
So you're blaming Jacob for their bad lives?
Maybe. I'm saying that there may be some correlation. Maybe his game had consequences, and the consequences were these people's lives. Anybody who he thought was a candidate because he could see what?
Yeah, but they're dead. It's not like that. If this was a true sideways and it was a different timeline, that would make sense.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's a complete reset within the context of their life framework, or as it was. They didn't just go back to September 22nd, 2004. they're going back to September 22nd, 2004, in a world where Helen still lived and ended up with Locke, in a world where Hurley had great luck, and in a world where, you know what I mean? Like all these Shannon didn't want to come with.
I get it. So she
was
wasn't on the
good.
plane?
No, she was not on the plane. She stayed there. So there are differences in their previous life leading up to that. Kate is still accused of murder. But I think all that tells us, I think all that tells us is that she did it for the right reason. And it was going to happen even in her afterlife version of A Perfect Life.
I don't know.
I mean, unless she didn't kill somebody in this version. I can't remember that. Maybe that detail will come out, but I doubt it.
The thing that irritates me is, so they forgot what their real lives consisted of. So
well, not
now they're
entirely.
dead. Yeah, now they're dead, and their lives aren't the same.
Correct. They're being rewritten, but they don't know
Why
that.
are they being rewritten when
So
you're
they
dead?
could-
What's
so-
the point? Who are you pleasing?
Well,
the dead people?
Yes, it's getting them somewhere. If there is a
Back to each other,
I
which
think we
would have been
just
fine for them to just remember each other.
But that's what they're doing. They're going through their shit as if it's almost like it's rewarding in a way. It's almost like, you know, whatever is doing it is rewarding them for having had such shit lives and going, here's what it would have been like if you had the good life.
But why not just remember the life that you had, and now here's a big party and you guys all go have fun. Don't worry about anything
Well,
ever
I'll
again.
tell you why. Because then there's no confusion about what this place is, which is what they were doing.
I get it was all just a ploy
Like,
to
it couldn't
screw with
be
the
that
audience.
straightforward. Not to screw.
It
She
was
said screw with or
Screw with the audience. That's totally what they were doing.
Well, yeah, they wanted it to be like, oh my God, the bomb worked.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's a place that they made to find each other. I mean, Christian Shepherd tells him that
So it's like
directly at the end.
purgatory.
Correct. It's the thing that they said the show wasn't up until that point. Like, they had been accused of the island being purgatory. And it's like, no, the island's real. So when they did purgatory in the finals, I bet that was a tough decision in a writer's room to decide, okay, you know what we're going to do? We are going to go with purgatory. Hear me out.
Right.
But we're
Everybody's
going
like,
to pretend like that's what happened after the bomb went off. That it split it into those two timelines or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it was well executed in that regard where I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
I mean, it's just so bizarre because, like, Shannon didn't get on the plane. Fine.
right.
But if Sawyer was supposed to have a good life, why was he in Sydney? His dad still was an asshole. His parents are still dead. What kind of... I mean, that's terrible. Why? I mean,
think whatever
why
was-
is Jack still in Sydney? Why were any of them still in Sydney? Because Jack's dad died? Still? Like...
Well, that was part of the premise for the show. Yeah, that was the impetus for Jack going there.
I get it, but why change some things? I don't...
Well, I mean, for example, Jack has a kid.
Where?
He has a son in this reality.
Oh, and he's still with his wife?
His ex is Juliet.
That wasn't in this episode.
No, it's coming up.
Okay, because
I'm
I didn't
just-
see that. I'm
I'm
like,
just
what?
saying those are the kinds of things where it'll impact them when they get home now.
Yeah.
Because things have changed.
Right.
But to us, we're thinking, oh, they've only changed because they never went to the island or
Right.
never had any involvement in it. Which is not the case.
Right.
But it's, I mean, there's so many things that I guess, I don't know. It is interesting. It's an interesting place that they are. But we start with like the original scene. Was that the first scene? No, it wasn't. With the original plane scene where it cuts to Jack and he does
Yeah.
the thing with Cindy where he's like, "Oh, the drink's not very
Right.
strong. It's not
Not
very
very
strong."
strong.
Yeah, that was a very strong reaction. It was a very strong drink.
Right.
But he didn't say this. Of course, breaks some crucial critical FAA regulation. He didn't add that snarky comment in this time. Just showing the subtle differences between the two
Right.
versions of Jack there. Rose mentions turbulence is normal. Her husband says so. He's in the bathroom. Jack promises to keep her company till he gets back. Plane shakes, then stops. Heavy breathing by Jack, and then Rose is like, "You can let go now,"
Yeah.
because he was gripping the armrest. But that's her telling him. She's trying right then to tell him that he can let go of everything, all the stuff that he's holding on to.
But it's as if
She
right,
knows.
he just died, and right now he's waking up on the plane
Correct.
in the afterlife.
But knowing his afterlife reality as fact, somehow. Just he knows that he has a son. He already knows it the second he wakes up. So he's not thinking, oh my God, I'm back on the plane. He doesn't remember that.
I know.
Yeah.
But
But he could feel deja vu, maybe. But I don't know. Because he was looking kind of weird at first. Like, when he was like, what? You know,
Yeah.
almost like, what the fuck's going on here? Let's see. So Bernard makes it back to his seat, and we hear the pilot, Seth Norris, over the intercom. It was the guy. You remember the guy that played Matt Parkman in Heroes? Mm-hmm. Nice little reunion scene with Rose and Bernard. Jack goes to the bathroom and looks strangely in the mirror, and he finds a bloody spot on his neck.
From where Locke
was stabbing him. Yeah.
But like I said, so they die and then wake up on the plane, or
Correct.
is it only Jack that just died and is... And
Everybody
this is his reality in the afterlife right now. Because...
No, this is all of theirs. This is all of their realities because...
Yeah, I guess Charlie and everybody like remembers what's happening. But
Yeah.
but they all died, and then some of them did nothing until Jack finally died,
There
or
is no
Jack died
time.
and then I get it. But
It was like that to them. And then they were just in this. You know, I
Okay.
think everybody just sort of woke up at the same time in this reality, if we have to put it that way. You know, like Hurley started the same as Jack. And,
so they remember that their lives are different in this dead reality,
Right.
but they didn't actually experience it. So
Correct.
like
but they know it.
they know it to be true. Like Hurley didn't actually grow up and win the lottery and enjoy all of that. And
But he remembers that.
But he remembers that happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, maybe he did. Maybe they did. Maybe in that reality, they lived their whole lives again.
What is the point of that? I mean, honestly.
Because, well, I think they just pressed fast forward.
Why die then if we're going to live again in another universe?
Because that happens in a split second, in theory. Like, that's not based on real
And
time.
then-
So what? You would be bothered if you got to live your life
no,
again?
but
But
like
it was better?
well, like the continuity issues with like Charlie saying that he was pissed off that Jack saved him because when he was choking, he saw a better life.
You saw Claire.
So like he was dying in death? Like what the fuck is that?
Okay.
That is so irritating.
Okay, fine.
No,
I'll give
that
you that
is not
one.
okay.
No, I'll give you... I was trying to agree with you there.
Or he's so so messed up being choking. Well, first of all, how can you choke when you're dead? And I
Okay.
get that it was part of like the storyline right there, but like
They didn't realize they were dead. They don't know
I
they're
get it,
dead.
but
so
how
if
do you
they're
experience
living,
death while you're dead?
Okay, well, he
Like,
didn't, and that was
he
the
saw
proof.
Claire,
he saw
so-
his old life. He was remembering when he died there. You know, that was what was happening. It was almost like the opposite of what Desmond was doing, where he was coming there.
Yeah.
Charlie was almost dying and going back there. I mean, that doesn't make any
Which
sense. But
brings
you know
up
what I mean.
another continuity
Okay.
issue. So you're saying Desmond was dying while when
He wasn't dying. He was flashing.
flashing and seeing
His afterlife.
But that doesn't make any sense because his afterlife didn't include his wife and child. He was a single man who worked for Widmore.
Right.
So that was not him seeing his afterlife. He must have been flashing into memories of himself with Penny and Charlie, which would have been his literal flash forward because he did actually get off the island and live out his life with Penny and Charlie, right?
Right, but
So-
we don't see that in this.
No, so
because
that must have
this
been
is
his time jump literally linear on his timeline when he was alive. When he was flashing at that point, remember when he needed the constant, Penny was his constant. That was
all happening in his lifetime.
Yes. So what I'm saying is we were under the impression that every time he flashed when he was on the island, that he was flashing into the sideways to see how happy he was in his death.
Yes.
I'm
saying that's what he
arguing
is.
that that's not the case. When he was flashing, when he was on the island, he was flashing to a further point in his own real life right then, because in his future, he was going to be reunited with Penny and Charlie.
Yeah, but how do you know that's what he was flashing to? They never
Because
showed that.
in
He
his
said,
death,
Jack, you were there.
in his death, yeah. Oh, no, Jack couldn't have been there.
Exactly.
But in his death, he doesn't have a wife and kid.
Not yet. He will.
When?
First of all, he lived out his life. So he got that experience already. He didn't at the time. At the time that he was flashing to his afterlife, and he was telling Jack, he told him in the last episode, nothing here matters. There's that other place we're going. So he's saying nothing here matters anymore. We just need to get there because there's great. He doesn't know any better. It's not like he's then going, but
So
over there I was single and working for Charles Widmore.
So Desmond does get with Penny in the afterlife and have Charlie?
I believe that, excuse me, I believe that in the, we'll see in the church that he ends up remembering Penny. And that she's there with him, and they all walk into the light together.
And she had this baby without him? Like,
no, I mean you're confusing. You're making it sound like they can't have that. Their real life couldn't have existed because of a dream they're all having collectively.
No, I'm saying that
because it did happen, and when they remember it, then they can collectively let go of it, the pain of it all that they all went through, everything about it, and then decide together, we're all done now. We're all going to move on. And
I get that, but you're saying that Desmond was flashing into his death where he was seeing
what
that he was happy
now.
with Penny and
no. Why do you keep saying that? He never said that. He didn't say, I'm there with my wife and son when he flashed to Jack. He just said, you're there, and Hurley's there, and, he didn't say Penny.
I guess I misunderstood that. I thought that he was like 100%. I thought he was saying that he was looking, he's like ready to go there because that's where his family is. And that's where all the people that he loves is. Or he doesn't give a shit about the people on the island. You're saying that Desmond couldn't wait to die so he could see Hurley and Jack?
I'm just saying he didn't mention Penny. So maybe I don't know. I mean, again, they're trying to lead us in a different direction for one thing.
I get that.
And we didn't get that until the very last episode.
Okay, well, maybe it'll make sense
No, I mean, the last episode on Island. We didn't get him saying, oh, I know where we're all going, and none of this stuff matters. But by that point, what I'm saying is he could remember it. He could have remembered his real life in the afterlife by that point and flashed back to Jack one more time and been like, hey, dude, none of this matters. We're all going to be good. Me and Penny and Charlie, my son, like in the afterlife. Maybe by that point, he's already figured out where he was and who he was.
I guess.
Because at that point, then he does get his life back. He gets his wife, and they all have to remember.
But if they're dying and going to this death alternate universe and then leading these completely different lives, but then at the end
they remember their lives, and
then all of a sudden everybody just poof exists.
What do you mean exists?
Like, so he in the alternate life he never married Penny and never had Charlie. But then when they get in the church, now Charlie and Penny exist?
When he remembers that was his real life. They're living this made-up construct that they all devised as a method to then find each other again. Because when they find each other again, then they can remember their past life and then decide to move on.
So they're all in this like escape room that they're trying to figure out how to get out of.
Exactly, and they don't know how.
And none of it makes any sense. It doesn't tie to their real life.
Correct.
But once they figure it out, then they can all die together.
Jack's son is gone as soon as he remembers. You'll see it here in a couple episodes.
All right.
But his son is just gone as soon as...
Because he doesn't exist.
Right.
Okay.
None of this exists, per se. But it doesn't mean that that's not the way they perceived it.
That's what they were maybe hoping for in their own lives.
Correct. There you go. That's a much better way to put it. This is maybe what they were hoping how their life went. I mean...
So Kate was always hoping to murder her dad. Sawyer was always hoping to murder his dad.
He didn't murder his dad.
Well,
Sawyer did not murder his parents.
I'm sorry. John's dad. Sawyer was always trying to murder.
He only did that because his dad killed himself. We don't know that his dad killed himself in this version. We don't know that Sawyer's
Why else
parents
would
killed
Sawyer
himself.
have been on the plane?
Sawyer went there to go after Anthony Cooper, but it was the wrong one.
Right.
It was the guy
Yeah,
that
so
he killed by the
he
fish
still
truck.
wanted to murder Anthony Cooper. Claire still wanted to get rid of her
Sawyer
baby.
probably didn't see himself as, or didn't see a version where that never happened. You know what I
Probably
mean?
not.
He's probably that into it that
So Jack maybe saw a version where he was.
he was with Juliet and
But
had.
why? Like, how would they have met? I get that we're gonna see all this, but like, they're
No, we don't see how they met.
wouldn't he have like envisioned a life where
With
he
Sarah?
didn't get divorced? Yeah, I
But
mean,
they weren't meant to be together. This is supposed to be, and I'm just making this part of it up. This is supposed to be a place where it works. I mean, but he got divorced from her, or they're not together. Juliet and Jack are not together anymore. So even
Right.
in his fantasy, he gets divorced. It's just with somebody else.
So she's with Sawyer, and
No, not yet. I mean,
oh, she's with Kate in this alternate universe.
Claire?
Juliet and Kate are together now.
Yeah, it's Jate. Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous, the circle of those four. I mean, come on.
Well, no, I don't think we know who Juliet's with. I know it's just leading up to
I
the
know.
thing with Sawyer, but Jack, I don't know why he would be with Juliet in this, just to add her in.
Maybe he's
To make us think this is an alternate reality
I
where
get-
Jack met another
yes.
doctor named
Right.
Juliet
Or-
Burke or whatever.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that he felt so guilty about letting her die or potentially causing her death that he
Right.
wanted to be with her, but he did have feelings for her at one point in time.
yeah, as confused as they may have been. I don't know if it was more a Kate like settling because he couldn't be with Kate kind of a thing, or if he legitimately liked
Well,
Juliet.
because
who
Kate
knows?
left the island and Juliet was there and whatever.
Well, no, Juliet
Oh
was.
no, Jack left.
Jack left too. Yeah, Juliet was there helping him in the
Yeah,
in
okay.
the Hydra and stuff to
Yeah.
some degree. So he kind of got
Right.
feelings for her because he's.
They kissed once, so maybe he just.
I mean,
was
can I just say
long
this is
dream
my
about
favorite
this?
conversation we've had during one of these podcasts because I'm not having to just read the fucking shit that happened.
There was a lot of things that I was very irritated
Okay,
about.
and name another one
I
then.
I don't necessarily remember them all off the top of my head. So you keep talking, and then I'll
Okay,
argue.
Desmond sits down with Jack, sits next to him, and he says the guy next to him had been snoring. Jack thinks he might know Desmond from somewhere, so there's the hints. Desmond does not know at this point. Let's be very clear. Desmond has no idea where he's at and why he's there. He eventually figures it out, but not yet.
But they don't remember
They don't remember anything.
running up and down the
No,
stadium.
I wouldn't think so. Maybe that's what he remembers him from, and Desmond doesn't.
Well, but who's
there was
to
no
say
solo
that in
race.
this afterlife that, first of all, yeah, Desmond would not have done a solo
This matters
race.
so much more than anything else now that we talk about it. I'm so happy
Desmond
we're
does
this
not
deep into it.
do a solo race around the world, so he would have never met Jack because he wouldn't have tried
Been
to.
training.
He wouldn't have been training. He wouldn't have tried to impress Widmore because he already works for Widmore. You know, like all that stuff. So they never would have met until right now on the plane.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, that's fact.
So the camera pushes past Jack out the window down into the water where the island is. That's so fucking cool.
It was really cool.
And
I mean,
we
the CGI was pretty bad. Or
Well,
was it just...
the graphics were terrible?
The
on
gra-
that.
yeah.
I mean, it's not HD, so that's
Is
the
that
thing.
it?
Yeah. He
Did
said
it-
he can't do it.
But
in
did it
HD
look
version.
really good when we watched it originally?
I mean, it well enough. It wasn't like it was terrible.
Well, I guess it was like 8 years ago or something. So
Right.
it was probably pretty bad.
I don't know. The camera, yeah. So we see a Dharma shark, and then it pans around to the four-toed statue.
Yeah.
Which, damn it, see? I'm not putting it underwater because that's just unsafe. But there,
Yeah.
boom, four-toed statue makes an appearance. And then we go to the Lost opening with a white background, which I thought was really cool.
Yes.
Differentiating. They just inversed it. Back on the plane, Jack goes to the bathroom again. The marshal is there waiting for Kate to come out. She bumps into Jack and obviously takes something from him. She does the, oh, oops, all hands
That was when
everywhere.
she took the pen.
Yeah. And Kate gets no knife or fork to eat the lasagna. Sawyer sees the handcuffs as he walks past. Arst is asking Hurley to do his, "Oi, have a cluckety-cluck-cluck day, mate," catchphrase, because he owns Mr. Clucks. Hurley says he won the lottery and he likes chicken, so he bought it. I mean, makes sense. Sawyer tells him he shouldn't mention that because people will take advantage of him. And he's like, nah, I'm the luckiest guy alive. Nothing bad ever happens to me. So, perfect world version for Hurley, it seems like. But I'm sure he still has some of the layers, the dad leaving him, or, you know what I mean? Something had to happen.
Yeah.
Because he said he only got fat because he was eating candy bars after his dad left. He's like, live a little, Hugo, and gave him the candy bar.
Poor Hugo.
Mm-hmm. He said live a little, not live all the candy bars.
Live a ton.
Jen and Son watch Rose and Bernard, and Son at least notices how happy they seem, and Jen's like, button your sweater, bitch.
I know. God, he was such a dick again.
Yep. Locke is sitting by Boone and Frogert, who's sleeping with those.
Mm-hmm.
Boone tells Locke he's wasting his time reading the emergency instructions. They have 0 chance of survival if it goes down. And he's like, in calm seas with a good pilot, we could survive a water landing. The engines would keep us afloat. Boone tells Locke he went to Australia to get his sister out of a bad relationship, but she didn't want out. He says he went down under for a walkabout. 10 days in the outback, only they're packing knives, made fires, and hunted our own food. And he's like, if this thing goes down, I'm sticking with you. I mean, yeah, you pretty much.
You did.
Cindy calls for a doctor. Charlie's in the bathroom and not responding. Saeed's like, can I help? And then just kicks the fucking door in.
How did they know he wasn't responding?
He wasn't responding to them knocking on the door saying, sir, get out of the bathroom.
Oh.
The same way that they busted him before. Not exactly the same. He said he was sitting 2 rows behind the marshal, and the marshal just knew that he was holding. So that's why he got up.
And
before it was
bathroom.
the pilot, or before it was him tapping
But he went
his
to
ring.
the front of the plane's bathroom, not the back.
Correct.
Okay.
That's why he was by the cockpit when he found his drugs.
Yeah.
Yes, Charlie's not breathing. Cindy tells Sawyer everything's fine. Jack asks Saeed to help, and Jack ends up reaching in his mouth. He's looking for a pen. There was one in his jacket, but it's gone. He reaches in and pulls out the heroin. Charlie wakes up and is totally bummed he's alive.
Yeah, but he's not alive.
Okay.
Okay.
If they believe they're dead, it defeats the whole purpose of this place. We have to get past the fact that they don't know they're dead. So the rules of life and death still sort of apply to them in their heads anyway.
I guess.
So he was slipping, but he was just Charlie. If he had died, I think he would have just become conscious of the fact that he was dead.
Well, he did because he was appearing to Hurley when he was dead and having...
No, that's not...
What?
I mean, yes, he
Hurley saw dead people. He wasn't having those conversations with himself, was he?
No.
You don't think that Charlie was actually dead and having that conversation
You're right,
with Hurley?
but Charlie, who remembered his life, was having those conversations with Hurley, not this Charlie.
Okay.
That's the only difference. Yeah, I mean, it's just maybe it happened after this. I don't know.
No, I think it happened before this. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because then, shit, how would that work? I'm not trying to be difficult
That's what I'm saying.
here, but
Like, everybody just kind of hung out in limbo for a while until everybody was ready to be dead together.
But it could be a snap, and then they're all dead together. If one of them dies, it would just be blink of an eye, and everyone else is dead now, because time doesn't matter where they're at. So it's just like, boom, they're all here.
So then
I think
probably after, because once
Charlie got
to the church, and then Hurley was still alive, and maybe Charlie made it to the church way ahead of time, even though they all lived all that together, and then he went back and visited. I don't know.
That's a great point, though. Really, what you're saying is that there's no time for it, because when they all remember it, they all then go right to the church.
Right.
So when the fuck did he talk to Hurley?
There had to have been
so there would have been another after death scenario,
right,
where they were exactly as they were and knew they were dead.
Where my worst nightmare is happening. They're all sitting there in darkness, waiting for Jack to shut his eye. That's what's happening.
No.
Everybody's dead, waiting. Oh, Jack shut his eye. Now we're all on the plane together.
Wait, but Sawyer didn't die then. Sawyer and Kate lived out their lives potentially. So did Alpert. So did Claire. They all lived out the rest of their lives, however long those were. Okay, so then
everybody hung out in darkness until the last person died.
Yes. Well, I mean, but if it's darkness, then Charlie would have said, hey, man, I'm sitting in fucking darkness when he went to talk to Hurley.
But he doesn't really know he's sitting in darkness.
Explain that.
I don't know.
I feel like that's the biggest leap we've made. That he wouldn't know he's sitting in the darkness.
First of all, how does he know if he? Well, maybe he's just walking around. I don't know. This is back to where I always say it would be really creepy if you're dead and you're just hanging out watching people that are still alive. But that's kind of what.
Right, like they're just like laying on the bed there, just chilling. People who used to live in this house.
I wish I could talk to you, but
people who used to live here,
God,
like 40 years ago.
Yeah, I mean that'd be creepy.
I'm just gonna nod at them.
Yeah,
hey. I'm just gonna start nodding at random corners of the room.
That
hashtag ghost roommates.
That felt wallpaper over there is really cool. Anyway,
I love felt wallpaper. I'm not trying to.
You're gonna put it in your new house. That'll be great.
I can't wait to do that. I will find a room and put felt wallpaper up because I love that shit.
Well, it's technically velour, right? It's like velvet.
The velvet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was in the hallway
I would
upstairs.
drape myself in velvet if it was socially acceptable.
Yeah.
So Charlie's arrested. He says, "Shouldn't have let that happen, man. I was supposed to die." Already dead. Jack goes back to his seat but doesn't see Desmond. The pilot announces they're approaching LAX. Saeed with his photo of Nadia.
We're not even off the plane yet. I feel like this is going to take forever.
Right, exactly. We don't need to go through it all because we basically have. I mean, we've at least talked about the gist of it. So basically, shit. Where the hell did I?
That's okay. Sorry.
Lose where I was at. Blah blah blah. Okay.
Blah blah.
They land. They point the police towards Charlie. Everyone else grabs their shit and gets off the plane except Locke, who sits there. Must be the widest aisles ever, since people like Hurley can just walk past people and get out of the plane. Well, never once have I ever seen that happen.
Yeah. Do you remember the plane that we flew on to California?
No.
It was really big.
Was it the 2 rows?
It was
2 aisles, rather?
Yeah, it was 2. There was like 4 seats in the middle and 4 seats on that side and 4 seats on that side and 2 giant. I mean, it was massive. Yeah. Now it's like.
Yeah, it's 1 row that's 1 person.
Yeah, and
wide.
like 3 seats here, 3 seats there, 26 rows.
There's my point is, there's no just like, okay, I got my stuff, I'm ready to go. Bye, everybody.
Everybody was just like walking off the plane all casually. Like, we're in the back, like, can you fucking move?
Yeah, can anybody
like, get
go?
your bag and go. Everybody's sweating. They're all angry.
It's just like, how much longer? Okay, there's 7 more rows that haven't gone yet. What is taking you all so long?
The kids are screaming. Everybody has to pee. Jeremy definitely has to pee.
He needs to vape as well.
And vape.
He's dying to vape. Let's see. So they wheel the chair in for Locke, and Jack sees it. So, go on.
His alternate reality.
But you're making it sound like they had a choice in what their end game was.
But we talked about what they wanted their life to be is potentially what this purgatory is.
It's not what they wanted their life to be.
Then why?
I think this is what is it like without Jacob. I think it's what their life was going to not be great, and this is what it would have been, and Jacob figured out a way to make it worse.
If Jacob didn't exist, Locke would be dead and not on this plane.
Why do you say that?
Because he would have died when he fell out of the window. Done. Locke doesn't exist anymore. So that can't be what this is.
Right, but this isn't a real place.
I get it. So why does Hurley get to be fucking happy and everybody else is still miserable?
Locke is not miserable. He's got a wife. He's got Helen.
But he can't walk.
So what?
I mean,
it's showing you about appreciating life for the subtle things.
Whatever.
If you, I'm not being funny. If you couldn't walk, you'd hate the fact that you'd not enjoy time with your family. You would enjoy your life. No,
I'm
still.
saying that
fucking annoying. But
our discussion was that this alternate like purgatory was that they got to potentially envision what their life would have been in a better universe. Yes, we're wrong. So
it wasn't that. I think it's simply what their lives might have been without Jacob's involvement.
But that can't be, because
again, what it might have been, assuming Locke didn't then have his kidney stolen. Like any number of things could have happened.
He was pushed out of the window still.
We don't know that.
Okay, so he got polio and fucking got crippled and met Helen.
He said his condition is irreversible.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let's move on.
So anyway, they're at the airport now. Desmond's looking at the arrival board. Hurley says it's carousel 4 for baggage, dropping a number in there. Claire struggles to get her bags until Desmond helps. She doesn't know what she's having. He offers her a ride. He says he thinks it's a boy. She declines. He goes outside, and George Minkowski's there with a Hume sign, and he says he was closing a deal in Sydney, and the guy, he offers Desmond some companionship, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm here to work. He's like, that's why you're the boss's right-hand man, and I am the driver.
Yeah.
So that was our first clue that he was working for Widmore. They call for Jack over the intercom. They lost his dad's coffin. The funeral's in 2 hours. Yeah. Or it was never put on the plane, basically. That's what they said. So they have no fucking clue where it's at.
Because
It's
in this
transit.
universe, his dad's not really dead.
His dad is dead.
I'm kidding.
Uh,
First of all, in death, do they really have to transport bodies? Like, wouldn't they just...
it's a construct, for fuck's sake.
I mean, I feel like in...
I love
like,
that we've
once
debated this
we're
more
dead,
than anything else ever in the series
Like,
and the show. It's great.
you would just be like, boop, 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 boop. Oh, there's the coffin right there. It just appeared.
I mean, if that was what they needed to move forward. This is not about what they want. It's about what they need to remember. You have to remember that context. Otherwise, yes, stuff makes no sense in that regard. Because, yes, because it's the afterlife, and they knew it was the afterlife, then they'd be able to pull magic out of their ass. But they don't. I don't know. Kate pulls some shit, goes to the bathroom, pulls the pen apart, and he notices, and she kicks him through the door, basically.
Yeah.
She kicks the door into him, and then pretends like she got raped.
Yeah.
That's why...
He touched me.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You're not helping the shit that's going on nowadays. You're not helping
She's the worst.
by calling, you know, crying wolf. Jack is on the phone with his mom. He scheduled the service soon because he wanted to get it over with. Locke asks what he lost and says they lost his knife box. And, you know, they lost his father. And he's like, how could they know where he is? They didn't lose your father. They just lost his body. Valid point.
Maybe it was buried.
Maybe it was in a coffin on an island somewhere
Oh,
underwater.
maybe it's underwater.
Jack asks what happened to Locke. He only asks because he's a spinal surgeon. That's where he says his condition's irreversible. And Jack's like, nothing's irreversible. Didn't Kate just say that to him? Didn't Kate just say that to him about when he was like, oh, I've ruined everything.
Oh,
And she's like, nothing's...
I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's just like, it was something similar to that. Like,
Don't
nothing's
be a
permanent.
ruiner.
Yeah, nothing's all ruined. So he gives him a card for a consult, and they formally introduce themselves. Sawyer holds the elevator for Kate. He remembers her from the flight, sees her handcuffs, and some TSA guys get on, and they're getting notified of a 341, and Sawyer's like, what's that? Oh, we can't tell you that. And then he, like, holds them and lets her off first.
Yeah.
Even though if they had just walked off first, why would it have been a problem? They wouldn't have turned around to see her fucking handcuffs. It
Yeah, I
seemed
don't
a
know.
risky move to be like, hold on, officers, ladies
Right,
first.
ladies first.
Have everyone look at this lady that is not supposed to be drawing any attention.
Right.
So Jan ends up bringing a shitload of cash with him, and they bust him with it. And he's pretending. I mean, he's not pretending he doesn't speak English, and I don't think Sun does in this reality.
Who says that?
Because she doesn't know
She
anything about the money.
pretended because she pretended forever on the island that she didn't speak English.
I know, but do you think she did
Yes.
Okay.
No English.
So you think she speaks English?
Yes.
Okay.
She said, Jin, what are you doing with all that? Like, just, I mean.
But not in English.
I get it. So, first of all, when they crashed on the island, somebody found the watch. Nobody mentioned anything about finding like 10 grand or 30 grand in cash.
Do you think they had it in the island version?
Why wouldn't they?
I don't know. Oh, it was wasn't it part of like a payment he was giving to somebody? It wasn't like his.
No, it was a meeting. That was it.
fucking killed me. So Saeed waits a baggage claim, and Kate follows the lady into a no-entry area. She makes it outside, and Frogert stops her from taking his cab. And she gets in line and just waits there. And
Right.
Then locks eyes with the fucking... the marshal, runs, gets in a cab. Kate's got it, and it's the puppet master from Heroes.
You mean
Do you
Claire?
remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember him? The puppet master guy that would like make people do stuff?
Not really.
He was the cab driver.
Okay.
And she takes him hostage, blah, blah, blah. He ends up jumping out of the cab. And, first, Arst, I'm walking here.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like such a parody of people saying that. I'm sure they'd make that fun of that line
Yeah.
in Futurama. But he's like, hey, I'm walking
Yeah.
here. It sounded so.
Well, and then
New
he like
York.
ran over his luggage
Yeah.
and dragged it forever.
And the driver gets out and runs. Kate takes over driving and takes Claire's purse and tells her to get out. At some garage, Kate asks for a tire hammer, and the guy tells her what she needs and helps her bust out of the cuff. And she opens Claire's bag and sees that she's pregnant, and it's not a purse, but a diaper bag.
Right. Did she not see that Claire was physically pregnant?
I don't know that she noticed. I mean, she was kind of preoccupied.
I guess.
So this is where we get the confirmation that Desmond works for Charles Widmore, and that they're buddies. Did you notice on the wall behind him there was a poster, or there was a painting of the scales, perfectly in balance.
Oh,
One is light and one is dark side.
were they tipped before?
Yeah, when Man in Locke threw the light stone into the water.
Oh, I mean, like, did he have a painting of a tipped one
No,
before?
Before it was the polar bear, I believe.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it was just kind of like, oh, is everything in balance here because the islands doesn't exist?
Yeah,
like
because
they're
they're
fucking
dead.
with us. Yeah. So Widmore shouts on the phone about not caring how much it costs. He's talking about getting Charlie out of
Yeah.
jail. He shares his whiskey with Desmond, who's like kind of blown away by it, and he's like, "There's nothing too good for you, man." They're best
The
buddies.
same
and he's
whiskey
like-
that he
he's-
was too good to
Yeah,
give
and
him.
he's like, "Well, I envy you. You got no attachments in this life." Blah blah blah. So this is what Desmond would have been like if he was in Widmore's image. I think if he was molded by Widmore. Which I don't know
Right.
why he would want that, and he doesn't.
No.
He just doesn't know he doesn't yet.
Right.
He has to think of Penny first and remember her.
But does Penny exist?
Yes, Penny exists, but he doesn't know her.
But
He
Widmore's
doesn't think he
involved
does.
in his son's life. So
Correct. Andy's
Potentially-
Andy's still married to
to Eloise.
Eloise, because he says my wife is planning, and
Right.
my son is a musician who wants to mix
So again,
classical music with modern rock.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
does Penny exist?
Yes.
Maybe she doesn't though.
Oh, yet you're meaning, is this a reality where he married?
That's why
Yes.
Desmond is still single, because he's
Gotcha.
never met Penny, because she
Because
doesn't
he did
exist,
because he did meet Penny's mom, and because he
Yes.
split with or cheated on Eloise.
Yes.
Got it. Perfect. I love it. We're figuring out this world so
that's
much better than I
fabulous.
ever thought.
I hope you're taking notes.
No, I'm recording this though. In LA, Kate finds Claire and asks where she was going. She brought her stuff back. She was going to meet the couple. They were supposed to pick her up at the airport, and she offers a ride to their house. At Locke's house, he pulls up in his minivan and uses that handicap ramp lowering thing, and it gets stuck just like a foot off the ground, and he tries to ramp off and it doesn't work and he falls. Then the sprinklers turn on, so it's just like, oh shit, here's typical Locke stuff. He's lonely and this, and then
Right.
boom, Helen comes
Oh,
out to
God.
help him.
Oh,
and it was like,
yeah.
okay, awesome. She helps him inside. So Saeed shows up at Nadia's house. He has flowers and he rings the doorbell and she answers. She's married though. He's Uncle Saeed. It's Saeed's brother that's married to Nadia.
Yeah. So what kind of happy ending is this?
It's not, because Saeed's happy ending is not with Nadia, because it makes no fucking sense.
It's with Shannon.
It's with Shannon.
But Shannon didn't leave Australia.
Correct. In this reality, until Shannon remembers that she
Then
loves
poof,
Saeed.
she's in the church.
Then poof, she loves... No. She's not poof in a church. You don't remember Shannon
I
and
don't
her parents?
remember.
Okay, well, let's just get there. We'll get there eventually. Saeed says he translates contracts for an oil company, and she asks if Saeed got her letters. So presumably she's writing him love letters? That's what I took from it.
I mean, that's pretty ballsy.
Right. He got the kids boomerangs, and they found a picture of Nadia in his bag. Let's see. So Claire's nervous. They didn't come to the airport on purpose. They pull up at the house, and she asks Kate to come in. And she's like, are you fucking serious? You want me to come with?
Yeah.
The lady apologizes. Her husband left her, and she can't do it alone. It's basically Claire's story.
Right.
Claire starts having contractions. They get her to the hospital, and the doctor is Ethan Goodspeed.
Yeah. Super creepy.
Notice he used his proper last name, not Ethan Rom. Ethan Goodspeed. Horace and Amy Goodspeed's son.
Oh. Okay.
If she wants, she can have the baby tonight, but he doesn't want to have to stick her with needles if he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
That was cool. She says she's not ready, and she's freaking out about her baby, and she calls him Aaron. So she's decided he's a boy and has named him already.
Yeah. Like, well, I guess if it's a girl, Aaron would work too. So.
Right. He tells her she did great, and Claire and Kate are holding hands at this point. And it was almost like a
They
we fell in
just
love
met
moment.
though. They have no idea who
But
each other are.
maybe they're remembering stuff.
No, I don't think they are.
I don't think so yet either. But it seems like they could. That would be one of those.
I mean,
moments.
I guess it would be like if there was some stranger laying there, I would be like, oh God, with
Right.
them too, because I'm a sap for.
Okay, we only have 2 scenes left.
Okay.
And we're out of here. Desmond goes to the police station, gets Charlie. He walks out in the middle of the road, not giving a fuck about cars. So he's the first one to realize. Charlie's the first
I
one to
don't think
realize
he
that there's
was
a different place. That there's somewhere else beyond this place.
No, I think that he was so bent out of shape in his real life, everything.
But he said he saw Claire when he died.
Yeah,
when
but
he was
he
dying.
doesn't know who she is. He
Right.
wanted to die. That's all. He
No.
was walking
He
across
didn't
the
want to
street.
die. He didn't want to die when he was on the plane and he saw Claire for the first time in his dream, in his death state. He was going towards a place where he was in love with her.
Okay.
And so now he's trying to get back there, I think. So he doesn't give a fuck
So
about
he's trying
getting
to
killed.
die?
Yeah. He fucking turns him into the water. I mean, how they go into the bar and talk and shit, and he asks if Desmond's happy, and he's like, yeah, great job, lots of money, travel the world. He's like, have you ever been in love, though? Yeah, a bunch. He's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, consciousness-altering, spectacular
Like
love.
white lights.
Yeah, like really bright lights. Charlie saw it on the plane back from Sydney. There was there was a woman 2 rows. There was a woman in handcuffs. Blah blah blah. Then when he started to die, he saw a woman, blonde, rapturously beautiful. He knows her. They are together, like they had always been and always will be. This feeling, love, and just as he's about to be engulfed by it, he opens his eyes and Jack is asking if he's okay. But just for a moment, he saw what it looked like, and he's like, yeah, Desmond's like, you should write a song about it. Charlie says he saw the truth. Desmond says he has a choice. Keep drinking or come with him. If you stay, it'll end your musical career, and if you go with me, you'll be chilling out in a 5-star hotel. He's like, yeah, it's not really a choice.
Right.
And he's like, there's always a choice, brother. So now that's like Jacob giving them a choice kind of a thing.
Okay.
You know, because that's happening not simultaneously, but it will be shortly. I don't know. It's confusing when this stuff took place in the real episodes of Lost. Desmond and Charlie are driving. Everybody comes on. Charlie says he feels sorry for Desmond. He thinks he's happy, and he offers him a choice. I can either show you what I'm talking about, or you could get out of the car. And he then steers the car into the harbor. He appears to be out cold, underwater, and Desmond gets out of his seatbelt and swims up and takes a few breaths.
What?
Why is he going up and getting breaths, and Charlie's sitting there waiting to be rescued, and he doesn't get breaths?
Because Charlie wants to die.
Okay, fair enough. Desmond, let's see, he swims to the car, and as he's trying to open the door, Charlie looks at him and puts his hand on the glass, like the Not Penny's boat moment, and then boom, Desmond flashes to that.
Which I had full body chills.
Really?
I was like, oh my God. Like, so good.
Yeah, the way he was like nodding, like, you know what I'm saying,
Like, yeah,
right?
I'm going to die. I'm supposed to drown underwater, and it's okay.
And the door opens, and he gets Charlie out and swims up to the shore, so to speak, the dock.
Yeah. Where there's other people that aren't running to them.
I mean, you would have had to see the car go off the pier to know that there was even anything down there.
But there were people on the dock. You saw them in the background. They were just kind of like standing there.
Yeah, maybe they didn't notice. They could have had their
You
back
not
to it.
notice a...
You'd hear a big psh.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, fine. So then we go to the end credits, and that is that. That is that for episode 1 of the epilogue. I didn't think I liked it as much as I do now.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good.
It's good. Okay, well, shit. I know you got to get out of here 6 minutes ago, so...
Yeah.
Or did you already take care of the... 7 minutes ago now.
2 minutes ago.
Oh, I thought you said 6:25.
Well, the meeting's at 6:30 at the high school.
Oh, okay. Well, we will talk to you next week because... Oh, wait, no. First, subscribe on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. I don't know. Tell somebody about the show. Leave a comment, for fuck's sake. Tell us if you interpreted anything differently than we did. Yeah. And tell us why we're dumb.
Tell us what you think of death.
Yes. Tell us what you imagine the sideways to be. anything that we interpreted in a way that you didn't, please tell us how you interpreted it, because I'm genuinely fascinated by the show still, and we only have a couple episodes left, so get on it, because...
This is how to watch TV.
See you later.
All these memories in my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind. I'm still a secret lemonade